Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, fellow dregs to society. Welcome, all you rock dwellers out there. Welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader, and I'm coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. And joining me today as my co-host is the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Right, Dr. Nasir Shaikh. Nasir, welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
Rick, it's great to be here once again, and we're going to start it off here on a Monday. Yes, that's right, a new broadcasting week here, and it's just another great day coming off another great weekend in the greatest country in the history of the world, bar none. You've got the American flag in the background. I've got the American flag behind me, too, with my Mount Rushmore of conservatives. Got the American flag tie on. We are ready to rock and roll.
This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. We want to give a shout out to the folks who watch us on television stations in California, such places as San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, as part of the AUN television network. And Nasir, we do have our next guest with us, and the honor of the introduction is all yours.
Thank you, Rick. Very excited to introduce our next guest. He is Ambassador Ken Blackwell, currently an American Civil Rights Union Senior Fellow. He's been a contributing editor for conservative news and opinion sites townhall.com, and his columns appear in the Washington Times, the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, as well as many other publications. Ambassador Blackwell's public service includes terms as mayor of Cincinnati, the undersecretary of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, and as mentioned, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations Human Rights Commission. He was also the first African American to hold statewide office in Ohio when he's elected treasurer of the state. Ambassador Blackwell, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
It's a delight to be back with you both.
Well, thank you. Well, we want to get into your article about a disturbing glimpse into the manufacturing of fake news. But before we get into that, why don't you give us, let us, our listening audience and those that are watching us on TV, what are you doing currently? Is there something that you're doing political? Is it something more in the, just in the business realm? What is Ambassador Blackwell currently doing?
Well, I've been working off and on with the Trump administration, not in the administration, but outside as an advocate for its economic and national security agendas. And I think the President of the United States has foremost in his mind the safety of Americans, and he is dead set on making sure that our national sovereignty is respected. And he believes that, a nation without borders is not a nation. And so his defense of our southern border in particular, but our borders in general, is premised on the fact that our sovereignty is not only at stake, but the safety of our citizens within our borders. His agenda is an agenda of economic growth and job creation. He believes that it's no accident that we are the most prosperous nation in all of human history, and we're also the most diverse. We're talking about 320 million people of every ethnicity and race and religious background. And so it is that dynamism that comes from that diversity, that comes from our respect for freedom and free markets, that has given us that station in the world. And this president is determined to make sure that he protects free markets, individual freedom. And he does that by putting a harness on the growth and expansion of big government, because he knows that ultimately the largest, the most significant threat to our individual freedom is a big centralized government that is by nature something that suffocates individual liberty.
Well, one of the questions, sort of a segue into this, sir, is give us an idea as to what do you feel has been the difference in terms of for let's say Black Americans in terms of economic improvement in the Trump administration versus what we were seeing basically happening during the Obama administration. Would you say, as I would, that night and day?
Well, yes, yeah, and you start out with the two models that President Trump and President Obama were working from. President Obama was determined to expand the welfare state, much in the motto of failed socialist governments and big welfare states in Europe. And President Trump is determined to create an opportunity society, something that I worked on with Ronald Reagan and Jack Kemp and others who believed that, great nations are not the products of great governments. The great nations are the products of free men and women working in free markets in a way that produce strong neighborhoods, strong states, and thereby a strong nation. So the welfare state model is a model that was producing anemic economic growth, a drop in real incomes for American families, and it was also producing a situation where individual liberty was at stake because there was an abandonment of the belief in the Constitution of the United States, which was premised on the fact that the individual was at the heart of our nation, not government.
Ambassador Blackwell, want to get into your article that's at townhall.com, a great article for you out there, for you folks out there, titled A Disturbing Glimpse into the Manufacturing of Fake News. And you basically said that President Trump's enemies are providing yet another disturbing glimpse of their veritable fake news factory into which the mainstream media has morphed. And you talk about that last week, Ian Bremmer, one of the most well-known foreign policy experts, tweeted a made-up quote, and everybody took it as gospel and, basically went to town running it. Do you feel that the way it is now with the Twitterverse, Facebook, Instagram, Parler, all these Periscope, that it's all about getting the story out there and then forget about if it's right or wrong. If it's right, great. And if it's wrong, well, we'll fix it or maybe we won't. It seems to me that's what's happening. Do you agree?
I agree. And in the larger sense, there has been, we've witnessed over the last 40 or 50 years, the march of relativism. And it's been at the expense of moral absolutes and objective truth. Now, we've moved from an era of hippies saying, if it feels good, do it, and if it feels good, it's all right, to a point in our nation where people are making up narratives that have no resemblance to objective truth, and as a consequence, people are more concerned in getting their narrative out there than they are at getting at the truth. And Ian Bremmer's little abbreviation or deviation from the truth, he says that he wanted to, it was an experimentation. If it was an experiment to show just how crazy things have gotten once somebody took his mistruth or his untruth, his false narrative, and it then amplified it over various cable stations, and then amplified it again over social media, so much so that when he came out and basically said that what he quoted Trump as saying, Trump hadn't said, the story was out there, and there were people who were not interested in putting it back in the bag of falsehoods.
Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, our guest is Ken Blackwell, former ambassador to the United Nations Human Rights Commission, also mayor of Cincinnati, Ohio. Mayor Blackwell, this tweet that was put out there by Ian Bremmer that was picked up and passed along by a lot of people, Democrats, writers, authors. What that made me think of is, okay, he put out there this false tweet. I wonder if he has been banned by Facebook or Twitter or any of the others for this false news.
The answer to that question is no. He has not, and that's what we have under close examination now by the Justice Department. When you, in fact, have these major corporations that are not umpires, but they have on jerseys, and they are putting their fingers on the scales, tipping it unfairly in one ideological direction, all of a sudden the Justice Department is now saying, should it in fact be concerned about putting this under the lens of antitrust examination?
Well, Ian Bremmer sure has a reputation far above that of Rick Trader, but it seems like I have been in Facebook jail more times than out, and for reporting, for instance, our website right now, Conservative Commandos, CCRShow.com. You cannot post anything on Facebook with a link back to our website, or you'll get a notice that says that we violate their community standards. And all we do what we post on our website is rebroadcast of our radio shows, TV shows, articles from like Town Hall, from Washington Times, from other conservative media. They don't like that. So they'll ban Rick Trader, who's really a nobody, but this Ian Bremmer, who sure has more followers than I do. No, it's just a joke, friends. It's just a joke.
Look, this is a disturbing pattern. You have Rick Trader, you have the youngsters, the students from Covington Catholic, and that controversy,
right.
Where the shaping, the framing, and the advancing of a false narrative, has in fact not only disrupted the lives of those young people, in many cases it's probably altered their lives in a way that can't be put back in a way that it was proceeding before that assault. So you're right. There are double standards, and one of the things that we have advocated for is for free exchange in the public marketplace. When these major corporations start to put their fingers on the scales and give some voices unfair advantage and silencing other voices, we in fact are tearing at the fabric of what has made us, a great world, and I would say the greatest world power, and that is the ability of free men and free women to operate freely within the public space, and to not only offer their political points of view, but to worship their in a manner consistent with their beliefs.
We're here speaking with Ambassador Ken Blackwell here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, talking about his article that he wrote, which was a disturbing glimpse into the manufacturing of fake news. Ambassador, one of your items that you wrote here was in terms of what Democratic Representative Ted Lieu, you said, also took the bait, tweeting a list of critical questions of the president in response to Bremmer's fabricated quotation. Representative Ted Lieu also had a huge run-in with, I'm sure you've heard of, Miss Candace Owens, who is
Yes.
part of Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, and the person who started the Blexit movement. And they basically he lied. He basically tried to equate Candace Owens, calling her a racist and a Nazi lover, because he knew exactly what he was doing. He played there on, in the congressional hearing, a 30-second clip that was almost 3 minutes in length, and trying to equate the fact that Candace Owens was basically saying Adolf Hitler was basically okay. And he stopped the clip with no context. So they're doing it on purpose. These are not jokes, but when they get called on it, it's easy to say, I pressed the wrong button. It was an experiment. Your thoughts?
And Representative Liu, has the political imagination of Walt Disney. And what happens is that unlike Walt Disney's, whose films were publicized and advanced as fiction, his comments are given the elevation of non-fiction statements of truth by a media that have become accomplices. They aid and abet this sort of nonsense, this fiction, this political fiction
Absolutely.
that destroys not only individuals, but it's a direct attack on the truth.
All right. Mayor Ken Blackwell, or Ambassador Ken Blackwell, you're both, but we want to thank you for joining us here on Conservative Commandos. Please tell our audience how they could read this article and also to follow your work.
Well, you can go to townhall.com and look under columnists, and all of my columns have been archived for the last 12 years. And my work can also be found at frc.org, which is the Family Research Council's website, the American Civil Rights Union at the ACRU.org. Yeah, and so my work is on major conservative news sites, and they won't be able to shut us up. We will continue to write and talk.
Mayor Blackwell, they could also do what I do. I follow you on Facebook when I'm not in Facebook jail. I follow you on Facebook, and I have you marked as I get your notifications first, so they're always right at the top whenever I log into Facebook.
Well, that's great. Let me tell you guys, it was a real delight the other day when I saw that this article that we've been talking about, the president posted it on his Facebook page.
All right.
And I just gave it a real big lift.
Absolutely. I wish he'd do it to mine. Mayor Ken Blackwell, we want to...
Who knows? He might post this interview.
Oh, that would be great. We'd love that. I'll make sure a link is on his Twitter account.
All righty.
Mayor Ken Blackwell, we want to thank you once again for joining us here on the Conservative Commandos. Take care and God bless.
Take care, sir.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Good morning, I'm George Stephanopoulos, and we are coming on the air because we have just learned that the U.S. ambassador to Libya has been killed.
The day after the attack, Governor, I stood in the Rose Garden and I told the American people and the world that this was an act of terror.
These protests were in reaction to the video.
Over an awful internet video.
It began spontaneously in Benghazi as a violent protest sparked by this hateful video.
So you don't regard it as an act of terrorism?
I don't think we know enough.
Reaction to the video.
You had a video that was released.
We saw no evidence to back up claims by others that this was a pre-planned or premeditated attack.
There's no video that justifies an attack on an embassy. This video. So this video, the video.
I would say yes. They were killed in the course of a terrorist attack.
It was a terrorist attack.
It is, I think, self-evident that what happened in Benghazi was a terrorist attack.
Witnesses tell CBS News that there was never an anti-American protest outside of the consulate. Instead, they say it came under planned attack.
We've devastated al-Qaeda's leadership. We have dealt al-Qaeda a huge blow. Al-Qaeda is on the path to defeat, and today al-Qaeda is on its heels.
If 4 Americans get killed, it's not optimal.
They haven't told me anything. They're still studying it. And the things that they are telling me are just outright lies.
But when it comes to our national security, I mean what I say.
I think this is, Sean, one of the worst cover-ups probably in the history of the Republic.
And once again, thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharron Angle. Yes, that's Sharron Angle. And once again, for rebroadcast of our shows, please check out our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. You'll find our radio show there, our TV show there, a lot of terrific articles and a lot of great information. And with that, Sharron, we do have our next guest with us. The honor of the introduction is yours.
It is an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to introduce Major General Paul Vallely, West Point graduate, founder of Stand Up America, and former Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations under President Reagan, and retired as Deputy Commanding General for the U.S. Army Pacific. Now he's a guest military analyst for TV and radio and the co-author of the book Endgame, the Blueprint for Victory in the War on Terror. Major General Paul Vallely, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Well, thank you. I just have one correction. It's Vallely.
Vallely, okay. Vallely.
Those L's in there get very confusing, Sharon, so I can understand. Even my best friend sometimes mispronounce it.
Well, I'll put some accent marks on there. Vallely. Okay.
Vallely.
Well, General Vallely, you have an update on Benghazi. We haven't heard about Benghazi for years. In fact, I almost feel like we have to give a history course before we can even talk about Benghazi, because the mainstream media does not want to talk about that. I feel like there is a conspiracy, at least some corruption surrounding that whole affair, and yet no one seems to have any real appetite, I guess, for discussing Benghazi anymore. So tell us about Benghazi, and then we're excited to hear what the update is.
Well, you know, the final truth has never come out on Benghazi. As you may remember, during the congressional hearings, Trey Gowdy headed those hearings up. And at that time, Admiral Lyons and I had formed the Citizens Commission on Benghazi to assist in the investigations to get to the truth. And during that period of time, we had the likes of Hillary Clinton, Leon Panetta, as well as General Dempsey, who is chairman of the Joint Chiefs, testifying. And so all the information we received about that 13 hours where we lost 4 great Americans at that compound in Benghazi, the questions came up during the hearings that Trey Gowdy had, and we found that Hillary, General Dempsey, and Leon Panetta both lied. All 3 of them lied, excuse me. They lied in two different areas. One, they said basically that the intelligence wasn't enough, that they could depend on mounting a rescue operation, or words to that degree. The other thing was that there weren't any assets in the Mediterranean area of Army, Navy, Marines, Special Ops, Air Force, etc., to launch an immediate rescue operation. So there you have that 13 hours that all that went on, and we never sent one thing but a drone overhead. So we lost 4 Americans. Well, it all died out because Trey Gowdy, we gave him everything, and if I can relate it to football, he got it to the 10-yard line, but never went in the goal, crossed the goal. With everything we gave him, it just dropped out of sight. And every once in a while it surfaces. Well, Charles Woods, a good friend of mine, who was father of Tyrone Woods, who perished as one of the 4 during that 13 hours, we found out that the State Department issued a stand-down order in the second hour of the 13 hours, the second hour, that they weren't going to even attempt a rescue operation. So Charles Woods called me several months ago, and he said, we have new information from 3 or 4 people who were on duty that night that were monitoring the assets in the Mediterranean and monitoring the activity that was going on when the attack occurred in that first hour in Benghazi. So I've interviewed all of these individuals, And it's really quite interesting what they had to reveal to me. My mission now is to get this information to President Trump, because with everything that's going on in the FBI, the CIA, what's going on in the what we call the deep state now, reflects back to really what happened in Benghazi and why we never started that rescue operation when we had assets in the area. So that's the prelude to it. I can continue on with maybe a question you may have.
Sure, I would like you to continue on, because this has baffled me from the beginning. And I've seen the film anyway. There is a movie out, a portrayal of what happened there at Benghazi. And we heard the stand down order in the movie. They actually went ahead and published those stand down orders. And of course, the valiant men that were there, they could not leave anyone behind. That's just part of the code, and they couldn't stand down. They had to perform some kind of rescue efforts themselves. And so I would like you to just continue on with, that the left would like us to believe that there was no conspiracy, there was no lying, there was no cowardice on the part of those that were in charge. And that I don't know how else to say this, but
hey, Sharron, Sharron, I hate to interrupt, but you know what else there wasn't during those hours? There was no Barack Obama. Even Panetta and even Dempsey said they could not find Barack Obama from 5:30 in the afternoon till 11:30 at night. General, is that true? Do you know if that's true?
Yes, that is true. And then that's when the State Department took over the situation there, which should have been a Department of Defense operation for the rescue operation, because State Department doesn't do those kinds of things. But Hillary took over. And in that second hour of the 13, that's when the word came down. Now, one individual, I'm not going to give their names today, but I've given you their names in a report that I think I sent to you earlier. And I would like you to have those three individuals come on your next radio show, because what they have to tell will reinforce what they have told me, of which I publish now. And I'm working on getting all this information out. And particularly, it's got to arrive in the White House so Trump can take action on this. But one of the individuals who was on duty that night was at Ramstein Air Force Base, which is in Germany. And Ramstein, their command and control center, they watch everything that's going on in Europe and the Middle East. They have these big TV monitors. You've seen what command and control headquarters looks like. So they're sitting there watching what started this whole Benghazi attack. So you have another individual who is at Central Command headquarters in Tampa, Florida, at the air base there. And so he's watching the same thing from the United States, because Central Command is in charge of the Middle East. We have a 4-star general always. It's a command of the Central Command. And their responsibility is the Middle East. So you have one in Germany watching. You have another in Tampa, Florida watching this monitors, watching the attack as best they could. The gentleman that you'll interview that was in Tampa at Central Command was told in the second hour to back down. Let's get off the Benghazi situation. We're running a command post exercise. And if you know what that is in the military, that's basically a planning episode where you set up a scenario and you run that exercise. And so he was told to back down by one of the officers in the chain of command. Don't follow Benghazi anymore. Ramstein, basically, when the stand-down order came, the same thing happened in Ramstein. And so we never launched any kind of information, even though that information was readily available to those who wanted to see real-time occurrences there in Libya. So we had C-130s spinning up, ready to go. We had a rescue operation team in Djibouti. We had Marines on one of our fleets in the Middle East. We had special ops and air and Sigonella in Spain. The At that time, I don't know whether the F-15s or F-16s, I can't remember exactly, that were spinning up, could have been on target within an hour and a half. On target within an hour and a half. And I've had this verified by Lieutenant General Tom McInerney, whose last assignment was Vice Chief of Staff of the Air Force, who's flown many combat missions. So if they were given the word to launch, they could have launched those attack jets over Benghazi to give air support to that compound where we had a number of Americans working there, including CIA. And you remember in the movie, the CIA agent in charge in Benghazi is the one that held them back from even going to the annex over to the compound where Ambassador Stevens was. So as you see how it all comes together now, and that's why Panetta, Dempsey, and Hillary Clinton, again, they've got to be held accountable for the lives of 4 Americans, because I can tell you, if the special ops got in there, the air with our helicopters, fleet forces of the Marines that are part of the Mediterranean Fleet over there, the 7th Fleet, they could have in fact been on the support side of things between the 2nd hour and the 4th hour. But that thing, you remember, went on for 13 hours.
Well, those are brave men. They fought and they fought, and we watched it. The answer, of course, the question that I want answered is why? Why would they lie? Why did they cover it up? Why wouldn't they help?
Well, we have the answer to that also, Sharon. It involves a arms deal gone bad. And you remember there was a shipment of arms that went out of Libya up to Turkey and into Syria, basically to support the resistance movements there and some Al-Qaeda groups in that area, as has been investigated and reported.
Did you say support Al-Qaeda?
Yeah, those arms were up, and some of those arms from Libya actually ended up in Syria with Al-Qaeda, yes.
Are they?
So
I'm sorry,
Sharon. Back, basically. And also we had man pads, we had, where the missiles that you can do from basically a holding position, you take down an aircraft, surface-to-air missile. You've seen pictures of them. And so there were a lot of them that were missing, but Mark Turry is a guy that you should interview on that, because he was the one that was in charge, basically, of the arms deal there that went bad. And again, ordered by the State Department. What's the State Department doing in the arms business? That's a Defense Department activity. Figure that out. So all of these things, when you put them together, this was a massive cover-up, and it was done by, again, primarily those in charge, from the White House, the Secretary of State, to Panetta at that time, who's I believe was Secretary of Defense after the CIA, and General Dempsey was Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, 4 of the most senior people that could have launched that rescue operation. Whether it was going to be successful or not, you don't know that, but you can't leave our men behind. We have to go and at least attempt a rescue operation, especially when we have that time factor of almost 13 hours when we could have done it.
We need to go to a break. We are talking with Major General Paul Vallely about Benghazi. And the only thing that comes to my mind is treason. None dare call this treason, but that's all that comes to my mind. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. And I hope that our president is watching this segment with Major General Vallely. And we'll be right back after this break with Rick Trader, my co-host, and I'm Sharron Angle.
Libyan visa. Official.
Pull over for inspection.
Sorry, sir, I can't do that.
Pull over for inspection.
How willing are you to die for your country? I'm ready to go right here, right now.
Hey everybody, this is Jack Silva.
Jack.
We train SEALs at Coronado, so he knows the drill.
Welcome to Club Med.
We need immediate assistance. We are overrun. State's under attack. Let's go, man. State's under attack. Let's go. We gotta move. If you do not get here soon, we are all gonna die.
You have a U.S. ambassador at risk.
The ambassador is in his safe haven. You're not the first responders. You're the last resort. You will wait.
None of you have to go. But we are the only help they have.
I called fire support. Never came.
You're not giving orders anymore. You're in my world now.
We have 36 American lives to save.
Good morning, I'm George Stephanopoulos, and we are coming on the air because we have just learned that the U.S. ambassador to Libya has been killed.
The day after the attack, Governor, I stood in the Rose Garden and I told the American people and the world that this was an act of terror.
These protests were in reaction to the video.
Over an awful internet video.
It began spontaneously in Benghazi as a violent protest sparked by this hateful video.
So you don't regard it as an act of terrorism?
I don't think we know enough.
In reaction to the video,
You had a video that was released.
we saw no evidence to back up claims by others that this was a pre-planned or premeditated attack.
There's no video that justifies an attack on an embassy. This video. So this video, the video.
I would say yes. They were killed in the course of a terrorist attack.
It was a terrorist attack.
It is, I think, self-evident that what happened in Benghazi was a terrorist attack.
Witnesses tell CBS News that there was never an anti-American protest outside of the consulate. Instead, they say it came under planned attack.
We devastated al-Qaeda's leadership. We have dealt al-Qaeda a huge blow. Al-Qaeda is on the path to defeat, and today al-Qaeda is on its heels.
If 4 Americans get killed, it's not optimal.
They haven't told me anything. They're still studying it. And the things that they are telling me are just outright lies.
But when it comes to our national security, I mean what I say.
I think this is, Sean, one of the worst cover-ups probably in the history of the Republic.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand.
To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
And welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Want to give one more shout out because we appreciate these folks. The folks who listen to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C. Wouldn't it be nice if we knew President Trump was listening? Our guest this segment is General Paul Vallely. He is the founder of Stand Up for America. General Vallely, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Well, it's my pleasure to be with you. And our foundation is standupamericaus.org. They can go on that website and they can see all the archived articles and investigations, everything we've done. So it's standupamericaus.org. So just wanted to clarify that.
All right. Thank you, General, for that. You know, we've been talking with you. We've talked with General Admiral Lyons. We've talked to Roger Aronoff. all part of the Citizens Commission on Benghazi, and we're it's amazing to me, General. We're still getting information about it, about Dempsey, about Panetta, about Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. But I got to ask you this question. Has the public fallen asleep on this? Have they forgotten all about Benghazi? Are they thinking, wow, that was another administration, that was years ago. Why should people care now?
Well, the people would care. The people that went to sleep on the switch are in Congress and in the White House. How many opportunities have there been to bring this to service and find these individuals who are actually on duty during that period of time? No one took that action. We tried to get General Ham, who was in charge at that time, to come on and share the stand-down order that he got. We couldn't get him to do it. And there's a 2-star admiral that needs to be brought into the whole thing. I got to get this phone here. Sorry, I don't know why that happened. Sorry about that, guys.
It's all right. It's live radio. It happens.
My command and control center here. I can't control it all.
Well, this isn't Fox. You know, this is real and live as it gets. So we don't mind that. But you can continue.
So anyhow, they went to sleep on the switch. Trey Gowdy went to sleep. What happened to getting to the goal line and making sure that people were held accountable? And if that happens, the media loses interest, and therefore no reporting is going on. We all got very frustrated. As a matter of fact, Charles Woods, again, father of Ty Woods, he's been so frustrated by this whole thing, knowing full fact that we had people that were going to come forth. But there again, there's not been any more hearings. These young people that I've interviewed and have brought forth now, who will talk on the air, by the way, have what happened during that period of time. So they all dropped the ball. But we got to reserve, because we have to hold these people accountable, just like in the Russian collusion myth and all of that that's going on that we've seen in the last few years.
I agree with that. And General, I just want to clarify. I know you and Sharron talked about, but I just need to clarify. We could have had assets there within an hour and a half to 2 hours, definitely within 2 to 4 hours. Yeah. What difference would it have? I'll use one of Hillary Clinton's lines. What difference would it have made?
Well, if you picture the compound and you figure the forces that were outside the compound, you figure the convoys that are coming into that area, with the look-down, see-down capability we have with our drones and with our satellites and overhead type of capability, we could be tracking where every person, every car is moving in and around that compound. Now, with laser capability, laser targeted capability, our drones could have taken out almost all those people around the compound, in addition to the fighter jets who could deliver some of the ammunitions. Very precise weapon systems. We could have had special forces brought in on the ground to do a ground operation and raid against those that were attacking. And they were in the hundreds, by the way. And so that operation has been practiced and contingency plans for years. If any of our embassies get attacked, what are we going to do about it? You can remember the failed raid under Carter in Tehran. So those kinds of things are practiced, they're rehearsed. We have assets that are chosen to do those things, the Special Forces, the Delta, Navy SEALs. You've got your fighter jets, you've got your helicopter pilots. All those were in the Mediterranean area at that time. And so generals and admirals doing their job could have launched that operation in the second hour. Or maybe in the first hour. But there was action taken. So.
I have to ask, why did they want the ambassador dead? That's all this looks like, is they were just withdrawing from him. They wanted him dead. Why?
Well, again, it goes back to the arms deal. He was there really to negotiate something on that. And It was a cover-up. It's not that they didn't want Ambassador to be saved initially. They just wanted to make sure that the cover-up was intact. And I think, Sharon, that's the reason they issued the stand-down order. It was a cover-up.
Incredible. The arms deal, as you were saying, that was a function of the State Department, correct? Did I understand that?
Yeah, Mark Turi, T-U-R-I, you need to get him on the program. He was in charge of it. He's a really good guy, and he's been harassed for years because of what he's known. And he's testified in front of some of the committees in Congress.
And I only want to emphasize that because the Secretary of State during that time was who? General Vallely? Who was the Secretary?
I think her name was Hillary.
I'm telling you, there is so much garbage around those two people, Hillary and Bill Clinton. I mean, it would take an army of sanitary engineers to clean up the garbage around them. General Paul Vallely, we've got to leave. We want to thank you so much for joining us here. Please tell us how they could find out more information about this and also more information about Stand Up America.
Okay, two things. Again, the email that you can reach us on is standupamerica.usa1@gmail.com. The website is standupamericaus.org. So you can email us. We'll send you information, or you can go on the website and go what information you can. There's 250,000 hits on Google. So if you want to go Google everything, it's on Google. It's all out there. The fact is, the people in Washington, D.C. didn't take it and cross the goal line. And I hold Trey Gowdy partially responsible for not pushing that forward. But, of course, a lot of others there were holding him back. So there was some politics being played, we know, at that time between the White House, Obama administration, and Congress. So just shows what corruption we've had and developed.
That's really disappointing because I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm sorry because I really, really, really like Trey Gowdy. General, again, we got to go, but we want to thank you so much for joining us. And one more time, give out that website address.
standupamericaus.org.
General Paul Vallely, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. More importantly, thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Rick.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. Sharon and I will be back with more right after this break.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Libyan visa. Official.
Pull over for inspection.
Sorry, sir, I can't do that.
Pull over for inspection!
How willing are you to die for your country? I'm ready to go right here, right now.
Hey everybody, this is Jack Silva.
Jack.
We train SEALs at Coronado, so he knows the drill.
Welcome to Club Med.
We need immediate assistance. We are overrun. State's under attack. Let's go, man. State's under attack. Let's go. We gotta move. If you do not get here soon, we are all gonna die.
You have a U.S. ambassador at risk.
The ambassador is in his safe haven. You're not the first responders. You're the last resort. You will wait.
None of you have to go. But we are the only help they have.
Called fire support. Never came.
You're not giving orders anymore. You're in my world now.
We have 36 American lives to save.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. And for rebroadcast of our shows, go to our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. You can find our TV show there, our radio show, a lot of terrific articles, and a lot of great information. And with that, Sharron, we do have the first guest of the day with us. He's a longtime friend of the show. Please make him feel welcome.
Well, and I'm going to say he's a conservative commando. Yes, because
There you go.
we often feature him on our TV shows, so it's great. I want to introduce Jeff Crouere, who is a native New Orleans, and his award-winning program, Ringside Politics, airs at 7:30 p.m. Fridays and at 10 p.m. Sundays on PBS affiliate WLAE-TV, Channel 32. And then from 7 to 11 a.m. weekdays on WGSO 990 a.m. and WGSO.com. He's a political columnist and the author of America's Last Chance and provides regular commentaries on the Jeff Crouere YouTube channel and on jeffcrouere.com. Jeff Crouere, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hey, Sharron, thanks for having me.
Hey, it's always our pleasure. And I always enjoy your YouTube videos. I go in and capture them and put them up with our show, and they're so much fun to listen to your commentary, and you always give us the truth. Thank you so much, Jeff Crouere. And we're going to talk truth today. How
Yes.
Hollywood liberals have Georgia on their mind. That's such an understatement, Jeff. They have made a wholesale movement into Georgia, just attacking. Talk about their attacks.
Well, it's interesting, Sharron, that Georgia has benefited from this 30% tax credit that they offered to the film industry. So you had all these productions come in. You had Netflix, you had Disney, you had all these movies and TV shows, $9 billion investment, 92,000 jobs. So Hollywood loved the financial benefit. But then when the legislature expressed the will of the people and they passed this fetal heartbeat bill, which protects life after approximately 6 months of a pregnancy, that's when the fetal heartbeat is initially detected, they went crazy. So we're looking at boycotts. We're looking at condemnation of the people of Georgia. Some of these Hollywood stars have been vicious in their comments. So I think it's time maybe for the people of Georgia to re-examine their relationship with this industry.
Well, it's interesting. You quote a fellow that I really admire, Dr. Robert Jeffries. He's a pastor out of Dallas. And he got real vocal about what Georgia should do. Tell us what he says.
He pretty much said that Georgia should escort him out of the state and pretty much don't shed any tears and let him go. And he used colorful language. But I agree with him too, Sharron. I think the people of Georgia are more conservative than this far left industry. Let's look at what happened in 2016. Georgia elected Donald Trump by a margin of over 200,000 votes. They have a Republican legislature, a Republican governor. It's a red state. And we know where Hollywood is. Hollywood is on the far left coast. Hollywood has these progressive socialist values. And I guess one of their values is abortion on demand, Sharron. And anybody that doesn't subscribe to that, they're going to declare war on.
Well, they have, and some of that, people I like to watch, but sadly their politics are now interfering with my purchases at the box office. And some of those guys you name in your article, and I think we should name them because I think we as conservatives should support Georgia, and if they're going to let their economy take a little bit of a dip because their values and integrity are more important than the almighty dollar, I think we should support them in that by the way we use our dollars. So whose films should we be saying, I'm not going to watch those anymore?
We've got a long list, Sharron. Just a few of them. Of course, Cher is a very rabid anti-Donald Trump entertainer. You've got people like Sean Penn. The one who recently has been very vocal, Robert De Niro, he has threatened the president. I mean, he's talked about physical violence. Everybody from Seth Rogen to people that maybe aren't not as D.H. Hughley, who's a comedian, not as high profile. It's sort of a universal feeling among Hollywood. The ones that are conservative are so reluctant to speak out that they say nothing. You know, Tim Allen lost his TV show for a while, and it was brought back, but I mean, he suffered because of his character on the show being a conservative. So it's really it's sad because the few conservative stars that are in Hollywood don't have the freedom of speech to express their views. Look at James Woods. He's been blackballed. I mean, he doesn't have any work. John Voight recently put a video out there praising the president, and he received vicious condemnation from Hollywood stars. Alyssa Milano called John Voight, an Academy Award winner, an F-lister, said that he should, shut up. Alyssa Milano is a has-been who's got no talent, and it couldn't even come close to being the type of star that John Voight is. But there you go. I mean, it's sad. And as a consumer, I'm the same way, Sharon. I used to love going to the movies. Now, I mean, I can't invest my dollars in movies with Jane Fonda or Sean Penn or Julia Roberts or George Clooney or Matt Damon. I mean, it's sad, but I mean, I can't do it.
Well, neither can I. And I think that in solidarity, right? Not usually a conservative word, but in solidarity with Georgia, I think we should begin to make our views known with our dollars. And you talk about this there's something going on here. This is really not just pro-abortion or pro-baby killing. This is an anti-Trump movement. The whole thing seems to go together, doesn't it, Jeff?
Oh my gosh, it does. It does. It's all tied into their vicious hatred of Donald Trump. Any states that supported Donald Trump, any kind of position that Donald Trump holds, the fact that Trump has appointed conservative justices that could maybe one day be part of a majority to overturn Roe v. Wade has Hollywood really up in arms. So yeah, this is tied into a president they hate. The latest one spewing hatred was Bette Midler tweeting about the president being harmed. You had Cher tweeting that he should be thrown in prison and abused in prison. All these people should be visited by the Secret Service. I mean, these are threats against the president of the United States, Sharon. So I'm hoping the Secret Service is following up with these people. Madonna wanted to bomb the White House. That was on like day one of the presidency. So it's amazing. And it really upsets me as someone that used to enjoy these types of entertainment options and can't do it anymore.
Well, you said a couple of things just here in our conversation that I wanted to kind of backtrack a little bit on. The first one that you said was this whole idea of the animosity that's coming out, and you said that the CIA should investigate them. Well, we've got this deep state problem, and I don't know if anybody's going to be investigating anybody. It seems like we've got crime at the highest levels, and everyone is looking the other direction. The other thing you said was that Hollywood conservatives are being so persecuted for their freedom of speech, their right to just express an opinion, that they're backing away from even expressing that opinion. We see that same thing going on in Congress. The conservatives there seem to be backing away. How can we inspire courage, and how can we get these investigations going, Jeff Crouere?
Sharon, boy, that is a great question. I think we've got to continue speaking out. We've got to lead the way from our programs, from our columns, from what we're doing. Try to put some spine in these members of Congress. They've been a big disappointment. The Republican Party is so weak, it's pathetic. They don't back up this president. They're constantly stabbing him in the back. It really is upsetting as a lifelong Republican to see what the party is doing to him. And as far as what's going on in Hollywood, I think we can use our dollars to make a statement. And, that'll be a message that Hollywood gets. And maybe after a few years of their box office results tanking, there might be a turnaround in where this industry is going. Now, I live in Louisiana. Guess what we just passed? The fetal heartbeat bill. We passed one just like, and guess what we have a lot of here in Louisiana? You know, film, video productions, television productions. So this industry could come after us as well, Sharon.
Well, you go in Louisiana. I think that's great. I know that on the other side of this break, we're going to have to talk about Disney, Rick. That was mentioned in the article. And, you know, so many of us grew up on Disney. I can, you know, there's songs from their movies that I still sing. But, you know, we've got a new Disney on the horizon, and we need to take that break. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM FM 24/7. And now you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California, specifically Pelosi Country, San Francisco, and of course Sacramento, where their laws are being made even as we speak. We'll be right back with our guest, Jeff Crouere, talking about Hollywood and Georgia on their minds, and our co-host Rick Trader, and I'm Sharron Angle.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Department, a Republican reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect. How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Serious allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die who fought for the right to vote.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Once again, for rebroadcast, since you won't know about it on Facebook, our rebroadcasts are on our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. As I said, you'll find our TV show there, our radio show, a lot of great articles, and a lot of terrific information. Our guest this segment is the host of Ringside Politics, our friend Jeff Crouere. Jeff, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Rick.
And by the way, in case you didn't know, Jeff, what I meant by that, you won't find us on Facebook. Our website, CCRShow.com, has been banned by Facebook. Just thought I'd let you know about that. When we have been banned by Facebook, you can't put any link to our website on Facebook, or you'll get a little message from them that says, this does not meet our community standards. So be careful, Jeff.
What are the Facebook community standards?
Who knows?
Socialism, progressivism, communism,
Who knows?
Democrat Party platform. I mean, it's so sad, Rick.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
Really, what's censorship? This country should not be about censorship. What about the First Amendment, Rick?
Oh, First Amendment, freedom of speech.
Right.
And what about, let's say, Jeff, one of the things I'm very concerned about is anybody who wants to do business with Conservative Commandos, be it a sponsor, be it a donator, be it an underwriter, be it a guest like you, might look at us and say,
Right.
hey, we can't go on that show. They're fake news. After all, they're banned from Facebook. What about disparaging our content? You know. But anyway, Jeff, we're talking about your article. Hollywood liberals have Georgia on their mind. Jeff Crouere, the movie business is really big news in Georgia. I mean, you have in your article that 92,000 Georgia residents are earning paychecks working on movies, TV shows, and other entertainment industry projects. And according to recent estimates, Hollywood provides an economic investment of about $9 billion for the state of Georgia. This is not peanuts, Jeff Crouere.
No, it's a big player in their state. I have friends of mine in Atlanta saying the city's been transformed with all these productions coming in. So they have capitalized on Louisiana's decision a few years ago to cut back on the tax credits. Georgia jumped in, offered even more attractive tax credits. They got a lot of the business. And now Louisiana has some, but not as much as Georgia. But what could change this whole thing, of course, is the fetal heartbeat bill. If the industry decides to boycott states like Louisiana and Georgia, they might want to just stay in blue states, maybe go around, do all their productions in New York and California. The problem is those are high tax states, and they want to make more money. They want to go to states that have tax credits, but that means they have to do business with red states. And I guess they can't do that, Rick.
Well, as you said, Louisiana, thanks to a man who I believe is going to be your next governor, and that is Jeff Landry, they passed the fetal heartbeat bill with a Democrat governor signing it. So I think that's big news.
It is.
But, you and Sharon were talking about Pastor Jeffries, and you said with some very colorful words, and I'll say those words. I'm not afraid to say those words. He said that the people of Georgia should let them go and don't let the door hit them on the behind on their way out. So those are the colorful words. But Sharon, I know, alluded to Disney. You want to talk a little bit about Disney and their hypocrisy?
I'm glad you brought that up, Rick, because just like Sharon, I grew up on Disney, loved Disney. I took my kids to Disney World multiple times.
What about me? Every Friday night, I was in front of the TV, Walt Disney's Wonderful World. I was there, buddy. I was there.
We loved it. We supported it. It was supposed to be about children and dreams and all these things that are positive about families. Turns out Disney has now taken a hard turn to the left. Mm-hmm. They're now saying they can't do business in Georgia because they're not going to be able to staff the productions because there'll be a boycott among their left-wing crew. And he's saying that Bob Iger, who is the CEO, that it looks like a boycott of Georgia might be something they'll have to consider if the law next year is implemented. And of course, there's going to be a court challenge. We'll have to see what happens. But the hypocrisy there is amazing, Rick, because Disney has no problem doing business in China, which is where they have one of their massive, of course, theme parks. China has no rights for the people, suppression of human rights. It abuses minorities like the Tibetans. You have no freedom of speech. You have no freedom of religion. You have complete censorship there. No right of assembly. Look at what they're doing now with the 30th anniversary of Tiananmen Square. They're not even allowing people to talk about it. They're practically trying to erase it from history. Mm-hmm. They're a brutal communist regime. Disney's got no trouble doing business there. But the people of Georgia, because they want to protect innocent life, Disney's not going to be able to do business with them. That, to me, is stunning and very sad.
You know, Jeff, I like you. I used to go to the movies every week, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I used to love the movies. Jeff, I can't tell you the last time I've been in a movie theater. I really can't. It is 10, 15 years, I'm not sure, but it goes back that far. But I wanted to talk
the same way because they have a bunch of filth, Rick.
Well, there's junk.
Liberalism, it's just junk that they provide now.
Absolutely. It is a bunch of junk. And you and Sharron were talking about boycotts and things. Jeff Crouere, why are boycotts so much more effective when the left pull them rather than the right? And I agree with you. I agree with Sharron. We've got to use our economic power, and it is a big economic power. We've got to use our economic power to do what Barack Obama said. And what he said is, we have to reward our friends and punish our enemies. But Jeff, why don't boycotts coming from the right work?
Because a lot of people on the right are uncomfortable doing boycotts. They don't want to use their economic power. They want to have all their options as to where they spend their money. They believe it's a free market. They want to keep their options available. I say this, if we're going to have success, this is a political war that we're in. We need to use every tool at our disposal. We need to use programs like this, but we also need to use our economic power. Why should we reward people that hate our values? Why should we reward people that want to penalize states like Louisiana and Georgia? That's the only way we're going to get through to this industry and to try to affect any kind of a change using our economic power. And there are millions of people out there that spend money every weekend on these tickets and put money in the pockets of these liberal haters. And these liberals hate the values of the people that are going to their movies and watching them on TV. So why should we be suckers any longer? It's time for us to organize and use our economic power to send a message to them.
Jeff Crouere, do you think the right should start to become more militant? I mean, look how militant the left has become, and look how effective they've been with that. Jeff Crouere, didn't they rip down some Confederate statues in your home city of New Orleans?
They did. They took down 4.
Well, when are we on the right going to become as militant as they are?
Well, listen, I did everything I could to try to save those statues, but I'm in a city, Rick, that voted for Hillary Clinton. 85%. Donald Trump only got 15% of the vote in the city of New Orleans. So it's a hardcore left-wing city that now believes that taking a war on history is going to somehow improve the plight of the poor people in the city of New Orleans. You know what the best thing we could do for the people in New Orleans is to turn away from liberal leadership so we don't have poverty and drugs and crime and homelessness. We've got some of the same problems that you see in LA and San Francisco. We have all these people living on the street. All of these cities, Rick, where you have all these problems, they're run by liberals. They're destroying these cities. And I think what we've got to do is just point that out to the American people that our solutions work, these liberal policies don't work, and just see what's happening in the big cities of this country. There are 59,000 homeless people on the streets of LA. We've got 10,000 of them on the streets of New Orleans.
Jeff Crouere was probably someone I admire. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't somebody you admire too. said that, and Jeff, I want you to tell your audiences this too, that Ronald Reagan said, we are one generation away from losing our freedom. Jeff Crouere, I would say with abortion, with the new Green Deal, with illegal immigration, we are one election, Jeff Crouere. We are one election away from losing our freedom and liberty.
Yes, because if liberals take control of the country, they will do to the country what they've done to LA and San Francisco and New Orleans and Chicago and New York and all these cities that have been ruined. They'll do that to the whole country. So you're right. We are fighting for our country, for our kids and grandkids, to make sure they have a country that they can grow up in. The stakes are super high. I mean, they can't be any higher. And the issues that you just pointed out, life, trying to preserve an industry, the fossil fuel industry. These liberals want to destroy it. Our state, Louisiana, depends on this fossil fuel industry. They've got no answer when we ask them, well, what are you going to replace all these jobs with? And how are we going to spend $93 trillion on a Green New Deal?
How are we going to heat our home?
Right. I mean,
what are we when we turn on our light switches? Are we going to get lights or nothing? How are we going to cook our food?
Right.
How are we going to even be allowed to have the vehicle? I mean, the left has been pushing that we've got to be more like Europe. We've got to ride buses, trains, and ride our bikes. Hey, Jeff, we got to run. But, Jeff, it's always great to have you with us. I know you're going to take that message back to your audience. Yeah. We are one election away, Jeff. We have to drive this home to our listeners and viewers. We are one election away from losing our freedom. Ronald Reagan warned us. Jeff, tell our audience how they could follow what you do and read your articles.
Well, you're so right about that, Rick, and thank you and Sharron for having me. Folks can get all the information they need at my website, which is jeffcrouere.com, and that's CROUERE.com. Links to my TV and radio program, my latest videos, get information about my book and columns, and also check out what we're doing in other venues. So it's jeffcrouere.com. I'd love people to check it out.
All right. And again, you'll be able to find Jeff's commentaries as part of the Conservative Commandos radio show on our TV show. Hey, Jeff, again, thank you for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Thank you so much, Rick.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving, and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
The AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos. I'm Rick Manning, and my special guest today is Lieutenant General retired Jerry Boykin of the U.S. Army. What a great guy. One of the true, I'm going to use the term advisedly here, but one of the true badasses in history. A great guy who fights for freedom today just as he did through his 36 years in the military, most of which was in special forces. So I'm very fortunate to have Jerry Boykin here with us, and I'm more fortunate to be able to call him a friend. So Jerry, let's just talk. It's D-Day. You obviously, you came into the military, you served, you experienced it on all levels in the Army. Tell me a little bit of your thoughts about D-Day and significance, but also what those soldiers were going through as they landed on Omaha Beach, Utah Beach, and so many other places that are stamped in history.
Well, I can tell you about specifically about one soldier, and he had just turned 18. He was 2 months beyond his 18th birthday. Who was driving a landing craft there at Omaha Beach. And that was one of the worst. That was the 1st Infantry Division and the 29th Infantry Division that were first ashore. And his landing craft got hit, and The next thing that he knew, he was in the Portsmouth Naval Hospital, not really knowing what had occurred, and he spent the rest of his life blind in one eye because of that event there. And that guy was my dad. So this is a very special day for me as I reflect really on the fact that he paid a price there. He didn't lose his life like many. In fact, there were 4,416 that did. But I can tell you that he was 18 years old. He was a man that was committed to doing what he was called to do, but he was nonetheless scared. You see, Rick, any man that ever says to you that he's never been afraid in battle, the truth is not in him. Either that or he's stupid. But he was a frightened young teenager, literally, like so many of those men coming across that beach. But they were all committed to their cause, and they knew that what they were doing was changing the course of history.
Yeah, it's a amazing commitment and knowledge, just willingness to pay the ultimate sacrifice if necessary for freedom. And it's and I think we lose that a little bit today in terms of our understanding of it. We talked in a prior segment and mentioned the movie D-Day, movie Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
But it's imagine knowing that's what you were going across English Channel, knowing that's what you were going to face, knowing that when that door came down on the landing craft, that there was going to be, you could hear the bullets hitting the front armor, and knowing when that door comes down, those bullets, there's no front armor, and you're running into water and onto a beach with withering fire. It's the incredible courage to keep moving forward, to keep doing.
The other thing though, Rick, is think about the fact that in August of 1942, the Canadians and the British had actually run a rehearsal for this at a place called Dieppe, the beaches of Dieppe, France. And the reality was the Canadians were decimated in that that was, they actually invaded the continent of Europe in August of 1942. And the casualties there literally wiped out an entire division of Canadians. So think in terms of they went in knowing that what had happened in 1942 is the first Allies went ashore, and they had every reason to expect the same kind of thing where they were clearly, the hand of God was upon them. And remember also that they did not achieve any of their objectives. They didn't take any of their objectives on D-Day. By the end of the day, when the sun went down, they had not taken St. Lo, Cherbourg, the port, or Bayeux, or Carentan. They hadn't taken any of those, but what they had succeeded in doing was getting Allied troops on that shore so that they could begin to push inland.
Yeah, that's important. This was it wasn't only they were still essentially on the beach. They'd taken the cliff tops, climbing 1,000-foot cliffs to take out the Germans who were shooting from above. Imagine that. It's just the incredible acts of just doing what you have to do. At some point, you're on the beach, you're shooting at you. You got to do something. So you got to move forward, and you got to try to survive, and it's a way to survival. But it's
But too, to remember that those young men, many of which were teenagers, when they came across that beach that day, there was no safe space.
Yes.
The only safe space for them was on the other side of the German lines, and it took them a couple of days to get there. So just think about the robust hardiness of today's, or lack of today's young men that age, and what we had in 1944 representing America. We had tough young men, many of which had grown up in the factories, grown up on the farms, grown up in in the Great Depression and so forth. They went in there with a different attitude. They went in with a transcendent cause, and that transcendent cause was to change the course of world history. And you look around today, and you see some of the youth today, the millennials, and you really wonder if they even understand the concept of a transcendent cause.
You know, I'll often have this conversation. I think you're exactly the right guy to have this with. And we've got about 2.5 minutes left in this segment, but we can move on to the second segment if needed. I then, on the other hand, I look at our Navy SEALs. I look at our men in arms, men and women in arms, and I look at what they go through, what they are willing to carrying 80-pound packs through 100 plus degree heat, the hardship and privation that they go through around the world to defend freedom, and not knowing if the next time the wheel turns on the Humvee, if they're going to hit an IED or not. You know, I see that same toughness amongst many who serve. And that's what gives me hope, because there are those who serve now who are serving with every bit as much valor as those who served then. So this isn't just a historical flashback. We have men and women in arms right now who are serving in that same manner. It's just that what we see here reported in the media is not that millennial, not that Gen Z. We see the one who's crying for safe space because somebody put up a sign that said the word Trump on it. And hopefully the anomaly is on the college campus, and the real American future are the ones who are wearing the backpacks and wearing the guns and going into rough places. We've got 30 seconds.
That is absolutely true, Rick. And look, that's why they run for the SEALs and the Delta Force and the Green Berets and the Rangers. They run an extensive selection course. They call it assessment and selection, because that's exactly the kind of people they're looking for, is what you just described. Those with the transcendent cause, those that are robust physically and mentally. And those are the ones that are out there doing the hard work today. So there are a lot of youth in America today that are just as committed as those young men that went across that beach. But you're right, the ones that get all the attention are the squeaky wheels that are looking for safe space and social justice and looking for counseling when bad things happen to them. But you're right, there are a lot out there, and it does give us hope.
Folks, you're listening to Conservative Commandos. I'll be right back with Lieutenant General retired Jerry Boykin, one of the great men both in American history and today fighting for freedom as we speak. We're going to talk a little bit about the fight for freedom in the next segment, so stay right tuned. We will be right back.
You know, Sharron, down in Washington, D.C., among the monuments, they have the World War II monument. And I had an opportunity to visit it about a year after it was constructed. And at the monument, I remember seeing a lot of old men there, some in wheelchairs, some on walkers, some with canes, and they were the veterans of World War II. This past spring, Mary, my bride, and I, we went down to Washington to the cherry blossom, to see the cherry blossoms. It's a beautiful day. And I went to the World War II Memorial again, and I saw none of those old men. They were all gone. And Sharron, your parents, my parents, were part of the greatest generation. They're almost gone too. But what is still here? The United States of America. Again, the greatest country ever created on God's blue-green planet. Today's show is being brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. Watch the Band of Brothers. That's all I can say.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos. I'm Rick Manning. George Landrith is gone for the day, but we will be, if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show or for more information, please check out our websites, ccrsnetwork.com and ccrshow.com. And please like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Just look for the Conservative Commandos. You know, I'm truly blessed to have Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin, retired from the U.S. Army, spent most of his 36 years in Special Forces, somebody who's truly fought for freedom around the world in ways that none of us will ever know and probably shouldn't know. So but you know, he's joined us today. He's currently a vice president with Family Research Council and is continuing to bring that same fight to the fight for religious liberty around the country. I wanted to, first of all, though, give Jerry a chance to wrap up the D-Day discussion. In about 2 minutes, Jerry, tell me, what does D-Day mean? Why should we remember D-Day?
First of all, the world would be different had America not entered World War II. So D-Day was the beginning of the end for the Nazi regime. Once we put Americans on that continent, it was over. It was just a matter of time, and it took 10 months, and the war ended. It also thrust America into a recognized position of world leadership, not only militarily and diplomatically, but economically. And I think that it needs to be taught in our schools. One of the problems we have is we're losing our history. It is not taught. It's not part of the Common Core and all. And this event, D-Day, was such a significant world event that it did change the course of history, and it needs to be taught. There need to be more people like you in this program that are focusing on the incredible sacrifice and the incredible outcome that this had on the whole world, not just on Europe or America.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, because it is, to me, one of the true seminal events in history, and we really fail to focus on those big events. We have a World War II memorial here in D.C. We have the Marine Corps flag over Okinawa, over Mount Suribachi in Okinawa. But there's really no place where you can go and get a sense of that, of the beach landings. Like I say, it was the end of the Nazi regime. 10 months. 10 months. We've been in Afghanistan for 18 years.
That's right.
We set foot in Afghanistan 18 years ago. It took us 10 months from we put an American boot on Europe and continental Europe to when Hitler fell. That shows you that there was a difference in terms of the way that was prosecuted and how we ended up and how the war ended. And trust me, anybody who's watching knows this, but taking down the Germans with their superior tanks, with their just incredible the Air Force, the rocketry they were developing, was no easy task. Right. It was blood, guts, determination, and God's grace. And surviving on the beaches in Normandy and Utah was all of that, because God's grace was with us in that battle, in that fight, and it served us throughout. God served us throughout that entire time, giving men the courage to do what was necessary, but also protecting them as it proceeded. So missionally, the mission was accomplished in a short period of time. General Boykin, we have people who are right now attacking that very religious freedom in the military and around our country. And I think one of the groups that's most at the forefront of that is the SPLC. Family Research Council had your own challenge with SPLC. Tell us a little bit about what's happening with SPLC, what they did and what they've done and why it's problematic. And then hopefully we'll talk a little bit about what can be done.
Yeah, Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC. They are probably one of the most evil groups in America, as far as I'm concerned, as you sort of intimated. In August of 2012, a man came in our lobby here at Family Research Council and shot our building manager and told the judge later that he was there to kill as many of us as possible because he found us on the Southern Poverty Law Center's website listed as a hate group. Now, we are unashamedly a Christian organization. We have no hatred towards anyone. But that is the danger of this reckless behavior that Southern Poverty Law Center has been engaged in for over a decade now of developing these so-called hate maps. First of all, they have no authority whatsoever. Secondly, the only credibility they get is really the credibility when the media gets in behind them and uses the same thing, or big corporations uses that data. But then we all of a sudden find out here 6 weeks ago that the guy that founded it and was still the president emeritus of this thing was a sexual pervert as well as a racist. We find out that the number 2 man who resigned after the board fired the founder, Morris Dees, the next number 2 man resigned, probably to stay one step ahead of the bailiff himself. And then the number 3 person there, a female lawyer, she resigned. And all of this came about as a result of just a plethora of accusations of sexist, sexual harassment, and racism. Racism within an organization that supposedly was the great champion for blacks in America specifically, but for other minorities as well. And they've been practicing racism, and they started in 1971. Morris Dees was the founder, and he was still there. So you wonder, how long has this racist been allowed to get by with what he's getting by with, and certainly since 71.
Well, and pointing out everybody else to be a racist. I mean,
right.
his whole job was to point out, as he viewed it, was to point out other people who were racist, and he essentially ruined many people. Got your building manager shot. Now, let's be clear.
Yeah. By the way, the guy that shot Steve Scalise was also visiting that same website. Just data point.
Let's be clear. SPLC was a contributory cause but the people who did the shooting were the ones responsible for the shooting. So let's be clear. Individuals are responsible for their own actions. But the fact is that SPLC's irresponsible rhetoric and the like helped create the environment where this person looked up FRC and said, that's a place we're going to go. He bought a bunch of Chick-fil-A he wanted to rub them in the faces of the dead bodies at FRC. That his words, Floyd Lee Corkin's words, not ours. So, that's the kind of hate that gets inspired by groups like SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center. So
I will say this: if I encourage someone to take another person's life, I'm probably going to be held accountable for accessory.
Yes.
Accessory to murder. And that is exactly where I see the Southern Poverty Law Center. They are complicit in this whole thing because these hate maps have inspired people to go out and commit egregious things, and they've never apologized and they've never taken us off their list, which their list is so totally discredited now it really doesn't matter.
Well, one of the interesting things, and we've got a break here, but one of the interesting things is even a court of law held them to be responsible as being a direct cause for a terrorist act, and they were the first group to be held directly responsible in that regard under U.S. law. So we got about 15 seconds. Jerry, you've got a poster behind you. Tell me about your poster.
That is a World War II recruiting poster. It's authenticate. It says it's an authenticate copy of what was up all over America in World War II that said Uncle Sam wants you. It was a recruiting poster, and I feel privileged to have it.
Very good. Thank you very much, Jerry. We appreciate your appearance here today, but also obviously your long service for freedom in this country, whether it be fighting around the world or fighting for freedom, religious freedom here in America. Just thank you very much for all you do.
For right now, we are out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.